Now, if you're a politician, think of employing someone to give you advice, it's probably best to check out first whether they've said anything in the past that might turn out to be a bit embarrassing. A report this week said the government didn't carry out any checks on the social media activity of Toby Young, who had to resign from the university's regulator last month when his crude comments about women, among other things, came to light. And today is an advisor to a member of the shadow cabinet that's under the spotlight. She's called Munro Bergdorf, and she's been appointed to be an LGBT plus advisory group set up by the shadow Women and Equality Secretary, Dawn Butler. She appeared on This Week last year. This is what she had to say.
The uncomfortable truth is that the white race is the most violent and oppressive force of nature on earth. My worry is that whatever governments do to tinker with institutional racism, it is so ingrained in the fabric of British society that it is too late to do anything about it.
Barry Gunn, are you comfortable with having someone who says that the white race is the most violent and oppressive force of nature on earth?
They certainly wouldn't have been words that I would have chosen, Andrew, but I think what the point that she was making in the clip that you've just shown was that there is institutional racism and that this is something that we as a society
No, she went much further than institutional racism. She said that racism was basically endemic inside every white individual. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that.
So why is she advising your shadow secretary?
Well, I think it's not an official post and it's not a paid post.
It doesn't matter. It's an advisory role.
We have groups of people that we seek advice from who are, leaders in their field. This is somebody who is an LGBT activist and as such advises on inequality in an informal
So you listen
capacity.
to any sort of views at all if they're an activist?
Well, what one I think has to do is one has to listen to a whole range of views. You don't necessarily agree with all of them, but what you do have to do, I think, if you're taking these issues seriously, is to understand why people express themselves in the way that they do. And that, in this case, I would certainly, if I had somebody saying those things to me in that role, I would be saying, well, look, what is it that you're getting at here?
All right.
What is it about
What is it
society
she's getting at then when she says that suffragettes were white supremacists?
Well, I don't know because I haven't interrogated her about it. But certainly what I would say is that there is a clear question about the way in which racism is structural in our society, and I think that's the point that she appears to be trying to make.
I mean, I've had the privilege
not in a way that I would
her.
do. Oh, well, there you are. You may know better than I.
But is it wise to listen to someone who is a product of middle-class privilege herself, to say that you can be homeless and still have white privilege?
I think it's to confuse quite seriously issues of poverty, issues of racism, in trying to say that somebody who is homeless is
I was always taught that racism was a smearing of a whole category of people. That you said all people of this particular colour or ethnic background or religion are like that, in a derogatory way. Aren't her descriptions of white people in themselves racist?
She is painting everybody in the same terms, and that I think is always an unwise thing to do.
No, she's not painting everybody. She's just painting white people.
Well, yeah, indeed, all within the class that she's talking about.
The entire white people's entire existence is drenched in racism.
Why did you interview her, Andrew? Why did you give her that prominence?
Because This Week is a programme which likes to give people who may not get a view in the mainstream some views. But we didn't seek her advice, Barry Gardner. Your party is seeking her advice.
No, sorry. My party has said that there are a range of, and it's not my party. My colleague has got a group of people who she has asked their views from.
To give it, no. I've been asked to be part of an advisory board for the Labour Party to advise the Shadow Secretary of State for Women and Equalities, Dawn Butler. These are Munro Bergdorf's own words. She believes that being asked by Dawn Butler, she is advising through this advisory board, through Dawn Butler, your party. Are you comfortable with that?
The question is not what advice people give you. The question is what advice you take. And it's also trying to understand when people give you things that you think are totally wrong, understanding why they're saying what they're saying.
Why would you seek advice of someone you think is totally wrong? What's the point of that? Surely you seek advice from people you think will have something to add to your policy formulation.
In exactly the same way as you interviewed her in order to give an airing to the issues, it's important that people are able to express those issues and you're able to deal with the
Should she continue to advise Dawn Butler?
Well, that's a matter for Dawn because it's a private situation.
You don't sound very comfortable with it.
It's a matter for Dawn because it's not a Labour Party body that she is advising. All right? It's a group around the
But you will understand the difference between a TV programme letting somebody air their views, however much you may disagree with them, and seeking advice from somebody, which is entirely different.
I go out to industry and I seek advice from all quarters of industry about trade matters. I don't necessarily agree with all the advice, and in fact, with many people, I know that I probably won't agree with their advice.
You're seeking advice from people who have a contribution to make to the debate. And what I was trying to get to you
and you're saying that she doesn't.
Are you saying that she doesn't? Does she have a contribution to your policy formulation?
Are you saying she doesn't?
No. I ask the questions. Does she have a legitimate contribution to your policy formulation?
I think if she's raising issues about the structural racism in society,
we've been around
they
that.
are serious issues.
She thinks it's more than structural. She thinks it's endemic. She thinks it's in all of us.
Well, I would disagree.
Toby Young,